I was married to my ex-wife for 3 years before she broke our marital vows and shattered whatever was left of my heart. My ex-wife and I met at a bar on a Friday night, and coincidentally we sat next to each other and ordered the same drink from the bartender. While I had gone to the bar to unwind from the day's stress, it seemed like my ex-wife was there to cry over her broken heart. She kept drinking and taking more shots until she threw up. As the good Samaritan I was, I helped her back to the more comfortable bar seats, stayed with her for a while, and that was how we became friends. I didn't think that helping her that night would be the beginning of our love story, and somehow, her sweet personality caused me to open my once broken heart to love again. My ex-wife was a caregiver, and I worked with a tech company. On our free days, we would hang out together, either go to a restaurant or the bar we met or go for a walk in the park, and in less than 6 months of knowing her, I asked her out. It was almost like she charmed me with her personality, and I fell deeply in love. And because we were both young, financially stable, and in love, we married after a year of dating. We were so happy, and every day I thanked God for giving me a woman like her, mainly because I had lost hope in love and had already decided not to get married. I had experienced multiple heartbreaks with my exes in the past. With my ex-wife in my life, I was a changed person. I cut off friends because our goals did not align, especially the ones that insisted I cheat on my ex-wife because she would do it anyway. I also stopped staying out late because I wanted to spend more time with my ex-wife. I just wanted our marriage to be perfect, and because I had not been in a relationship that lasted that long, my ex-wife and I agreed that we would not have kids until we were ready. We got along well for the first 2 years of our marriage. If we had fights, I ensured we settled it before bed and didn't sweep anything under the carpet. I didn't want a situation where our arguments would lead her to find comfort in another man's arms, so I did what I had to do. In terms of provision, I provided for my ex-wife as a man should provide for his family. I got her whatever she wanted to make her happy and did my own share of chores at home. We visited our families whenever we were supposed to, and I always remembered our anniversaries. Around the 3rd year of our marriage, I noticed that my wife started acting differently. She wasn't cold toward me, but I could tell that something was off with her. Initially, I believed she acted that way because of stress from work. She recently told me about a new client she was assigned, and she was struggling with him. Since it was around the same time, I didn't pay much attention to the slight changes, and I encouraged her to rest more whenever she returned from work instead of watching reality shows the whole night. But when weeks passed and she didn't change, I became worried. I talked to her about taking a leave so she could rest properly, but she shook it off like it was nothing. Then she started acting weird and asking weird questions. She would ask questions about couples that opened their marriage and how they felt to be with someone else aside from their spouses, and if I answered the first question, she would jokingly ask me what I would do if I found out she was cheating on me. I blatantly told her I would leave and divorce her because I would not tolerate living with a cheater, and she would laugh it off and pretend she was asking a harmless question. She didn't ask this question once or twice. I lost count of the times she asked, and each time she asked, I wondered why she was asking the same question again, and she would tell me she wanted to be sure that I really loved and valued her. Initially, I believed her, but it became suspicious when she kept bugging me with the same question almost every 2 weeks. But after so much consideration, I let it slide. I didn't want to ruin my beautiful marriage and relationship with her based on my past experiences with my exes, so I convinced myself that she was only reviewing her marriage and doing her love affirmation thing. Around the same month her questions started, the organization she worked for hired another caregiver around the same age as my ex-wife, and they quickly became friends. This new friend was exactly her opposite. She loved to hang out on weekends and have fun, and in no time, my ex-wife joined her. They started hanging out together more often, and after a long week at work, they would pick a place they wanted to hang out at. I didn't have any problem with my ex-wife and her new friend. I was glad she put aside her introverted nature and opened up to someone else that wasn't me, and I knew how choking it could be for your spouse to be your only friend. As she started hanging out with her new friend more often, it also gave me the time to rekindle my friendship with some of my old friends and see them regularly. At the same time, Nothing really changed in our marriage. We were still the same, and our love for each other remained the same. One weekend, I invited 2 friends to come over and watch football at my house since I knew my ex-wife would be out that evening with her new friend. She was always my football partner, and since her outing was important to her, I didn't want her to cancel, so I invited my friends over. Unfortunately, about 15 minutes before the game started, I noticed we were out of my favorite chips, and I went to my ex-wife's purse to steal some cash. I knew she always left cash in that particular purse in case we needed to buy something urgently, and it wasn't my first time taking money from there. Instead of getting the cash I wanted, I found a strange business card with a red lipstick stain on it, and I was sure the lipstick was hers because it had that vanilla fragrance on the card. Also, I had heard my ex-wife talk about the name on the card a couple of times on the phone with her friend. Seeing that card didn't sit well with me, so I told my friends about it, and they opted we go and check out the place. We drove to the address on the card, which turned out to be a nightclub. I was stunned because she never mentioned going to a nightclub to me. She talked about fancy restaurants, bars, and picnics, but never a nightclub. Outside the nightclub, I recognized her friend's car, and I knew they were in there together. To cut the story short, we went inside and saw her in the VIP section with a stranger. They were cuddling and laughing at the top of their voices. From the way she wrapped herself around him, anyone could tell they weren't strangers to each other. I was so shocked and heartbroken, and I couldn't even move from my position. Thankfully, one of my friends took out his phone, took photos, and recorded my ex-wife and her lover together. I couldn't go home that night because I was so angry, so I crashed at one of my friend's place. That same night, we did a quick research on the club, and we found out her lover was the owner of the nightclub. Not just that, he was also the son of the client she was always complaining about, and it made sense to me. As for her lover, I left his nightclub a 1-star review and posted the photos and video online. The following day, I went home to my wife, and she was acting all nice and innocent. I didn't want to beat around the bush, so I told her I knew she was cheating, and she immediately denied it. I watched her cry and call me names for accusing her, and when I was done with her drama, I showed her the photos and videos, and she couldn't say anything. Politely, I asked her to go in and pack her things, and she started begging and crying real tears. She blamed her new friend for misleading her and promised to be a better wife, but I was not having that. Her relationship with the club owner started when she asked those questions. I was so heartbroken and devastated, and I kicked her out when I couldn't listen to her pleas anymore. On the other hand, the photos and videos I posted went viral, and it ruined his club's reputation. It was such a big scandal, and even big bloggers in our city carried it. Unfortunately for him, his club began to run down. Eventually, my ex-wife and I divorced, and shortly after, she left town because the whole video thing did not die down, and people recognized her as the cheating wife from the photos and video. She was even used for memes. Until now, I still stumble on her pictures used as memes. It's been years, and my heart has been locked for love. I am not ready to experience such heartbreak again, and I have focused more on doing the things that make me happy and add money to my account. OP, this must have been very heartbreaking. A lot of times, the kind of friends our spouses keep can destroy marriages. Saying that her friend misled her is a very weak reason to cheat on you. She would not be easily misled or influenced to do the wrong thing if she loved you like you loved her. She was only using you, and asking those questions was only her way of testing the waters. Keep focusing on the things that make you happy and richer. With time, all the hurt will go, and you will forget about her. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Now, let's move on to the next story of the day. Hello, everyone. For the sake of anonymity, I'll be using fake names. Laura and I met after I graduated from college. She was almost rounding up with college then, and though we didn't start dating immediately, we knew each other for at least 3 years before I asked her to be my girlfriend. Our relationship was beautiful, and we matched perfectly with each other. We dated for 3 years before we got married, and for the first 2 years of our marriage, Laura could not conceive. We tried everything possible, did all the tests, and the results showed we were both okay, but no matter how hard we tried, we couldn't make a baby. Not like I wasn't bothered about it. I was, but the person that was most affected was Laura. She loved children, and even while we were dating, she always talked about how we'd start making children once we got married. So it was heartbreaking for her to find out she could not conceive. To make things worse, we were lucky to get pregnant once, and in less than 2 months she miscarried. This upset Laura and affected many things about her, including her enthusiasm toward life and the things she loved. It got so bad that she would start crying if she saw baby ads or pictures on Facebook. But luckily for us, towards the 3rd year of our marriage, Laura conceived again and gave birth to our beautiful daughter, Maya. Indeed, Maya was a bundle of joy. She changed so much in our lives, especially Laura's. Laura loved Maya more than life itself, and she did almost everything to make sure Maya was healthy and happy. We treated Maya with so much love, and as she grew up, Laura pampered her with whatever she wanted. She got her the best dresses, shoes, school bags, and everything a girl child should have. There was no asking why Laura loved our daughter so much. Maya's pregnancy came with many complications, and as soon as she was born, Laura and I agreed that 1 child was enough. That way, we could take good care of her, provide for her, and give her the best education. On the other hand, Maya grew to love us and spent more time with her mother. My work took at least 9 hours a day, and most times, I would work overtime to make more money. So except evenings, holidays, and weekends, I barely had time to spend time with Maya, and most evenings, she would already be in bed before I returned home. Honestly, I loved the mother-daughter bond Laura and Maya shared, and within me, I always wished I had the same relationship with my mom. Maya became our utmost priority. Her needs were first met before ours. Education-wise, we sent her to an excellent private school. Before Laura and I married, I knew her to be a go-getter and someone who gave her 100% to whatever she was doing, and somehow she passed the attribute to Maya. She always encouraged Maya to do well in school, make good friends, and be hardworking. She just wanted our daughter's life to be perfect, or so I believed. Initially, it started like motherly advice to her daughter, but as Maya grew older, it felt like she was imposing the whole good grades thing on her. She always wanted Maya to be on top of her class, read more, and play less. And I even remember telling her to allow Maya to be a child, especially since having the highest grades was not the most important thing at that stage of her life, but her social skills with her friends and so much more. She was being too hard on Maya. And although Maya did not see it as hard on her, I was an adult and saw it very clearly. As Maya continued to grow, she became less interested in reading all the time because it did not allow her to spend time with her friends and neighbors, and Laura took this very personally. It took me a lot of talking before Laura stopped being too serious with our daughter, and I was relieved she was finally allowing Maya to act her age. About a month after Maya's 5th birthday, I was home that weekend, and Laura asked me to help her clean her car. Initially, I was reluctant because I knew how untidy her car was every time I cleaned and how stressful it would be, but I did it anyway. I started by taking out the mats, cleaned the front, and as I was trying to clean the back, I found a pack of condoms in the driver's seat back pocket, and 2 pieces were cut out. Immediately, I saw the condom. My heart skipped because we never did it in the car, and the condom wasn't my size. The fact that 2 pieces were missing indicated something was wrong, but I didn't want to confront her without being sure. Seeing the condom in her car definitely changed my attitude toward her for the rest of the weekend, but I lied to her and said I acted that way because of something at work. A couple of days after I found the condom, I secretly set up a dash cam in her car to see who she was having an affair with, if at all she was having an affair. Many thoughts and reasons the condom was in her car crossed my mind, and I thought about all the possible scenarios of someone leaving a condom dot in her car, but I didn't want to rule out the possibility of her cheating on me. Well, my worst nightmare happened. 2 days after I hid the dash cam in her car, I found out no one left or forgot the condom in her car. My ex-wife was actually sleeping with someone else, and to my greatest surprise, it was my daughter's class teacher. Not only did I get videos from the dash cam I hid in her car, but I also got audio, and what I heard made my heart bleed. I was not only heartbroken, I was very disappointed because my wife was sleeping with our daughter's teacher so he could give her the highest grades in her class. I could not believe she could go to that extreme with her highest grades obsession. Without thinking twice, I contacted the school board and reported everything to them with my evidence. I also confronted Laura that same day and kicked her out of the house in anger. In fact, most of her stuff was already waiting for her in the living room by the time she returned. When I told her I knew she was sleeping with Maya's teacher, she immediately went to her knees and started begging me. She said she did it for Maya and was trying to help her get the highest grades, so it would help with her college applications and whatever. I was so angry, and I kicked her out of the house. At first, she didn't want to leave because she believed she was doing our daughter a favor, but after I yelled at her and my eyes were popping out, she left in fear because she had never seen me so angry. That same week, the school fired my daughter's class teacher, and I contacted a lawyer to start processing our divorce papers. On the other hand, Maya found out that her mother and I were divorcing, and she was so upset. I knew it was hard for her, and she was already asking questions, so I told her the truth so she could stay with me. Don't judge me, what her mother did was terrible, and I didn't try to sugarcoat it. Eventually, we divorced, and I won child custody for Maya. I didn't want her mother putting terrible ideas of desperation in her head, and I believed I did the right thing. I didn't know it would get her like that, but Maya was hurt and stopped talking to Laura. The only time she speaks to Laura is when she is either yelling or screaming at her, and this makes Laura cry all the time, mainly because she loved Maya and did what she did because of her. I still don't know if it's true. It's been almost a year, and I have reduced my working hours to spend time with Maya. Although it still hurts me that Laura betrayed my trust and broke my heart, I'm glad she is not in my life anymore. I may remarry when I feel ready again, but for now, I want to spend time with my daughter and be the best father in the world. OP, this is really sad to hear. Why on earth would a mother sleep with her daughter's teacher for grades? This wasn't a mother's love. It was an obsession. I can only imagine everything that would have gone wrong if your daughter's classmates heard about it. I'm glad you handled this well and won custody of your child. She would definitely be a bad influence on the poor kid. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts on what happened. If there is a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me. Take care.